Hey everyone, welcome to the very first edition of EEXSPORT TALK. I'm your host, Enyadike Jr., and today we've got our eyes firmly on the CAF FIFA World Cup Qualifier playoffs, coming to you live from Rabat, Morocco. The semis have already delivered fireworks. Nigeria ran out 4-1 winners over Gabon, with goals from Akor Adams, Chidera Ajuke, and a brace from Victor Osimhen in extra time, while the Democratic Republic of Congo stunned Cameroon with a 1-0 win. So on Sunday, it's winner takes all. Nigeria versus DRC in the final. And to break it all down with me is none other than my dad, the legend himself, Emeka Enyadike. Dad, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Gift. It's a pleasure to be on the show with you. Really excited. I'm looking forward to see how it evolves.
As am I. Well, let's get into it. I know you like to be objective, but come on, you're a Nigerian. I'm a Nigerian. So surely you're excited for this. Did you expect that 4-1 result over Gabon?
First of all, I'm
Especially with everything
excited.
going into it.
First of all, I'm excited about the playoffs and how it's played out. I think it's novel. I think it's bringing in Nigerian factor. I think we're lucky that this was put in place because think about it. 9 teams from Africa going to the World Cup and Nigeria didn't qualify, and now we have like a backdoor route into it. It's the stuff of dreams. I mean, really, really pure magic. The game itself, 4-1. I mean, there was a lot of pressure, a lot of strife going into that game. A lot of, when you look at Gabon's performance in the earlier rounds, they were phenomenal. They lost out to Cote d'Ivoire by just a point. And so Pierre Aubameyang and everybody firing on all cylinders. And Nigeria was like a train smash. The way Nigeria or a train wreck kind of. We barely managed to make it to the playoffs. So I wouldn't say I expected 4-1, but on the way, just going by the way they played against Benin in the last round, I actually felt like they stood a chance. But 4-1 was a big score. It was a big statement, and it also shows that there's a lot in this team.
Yeah, if only they just didn't let South Africa get in before us. Oh well, a win
Yeah.
is a win, I guess. However late it happens. And also, let's talk about DRC and Cameroon. That one was absolutely shocking. DRC they last got to the World Cup 50 plus years ago, and they beat Cameroon, who should be in the World Cup. It's Nigeria and Cameroon. If any African team is getting there, it's Nigeria and Cameroon. So for DRC to beat Cameroon like that, what's your take on that?
I think it was one. For some reason, I had a sneaky feeling that DRC looked really good, and they might be able to pull a bit of a surprise. But I thought they were in that game for the longest time. They were there. They fought, they battled, and they got a goal very late on in the game, which helped them. Maybe if they scored earlier, the Cameroonian team might have rallied. But it was just one very tight game that seemed like Cameroon seemed like they were going to be able to pull something out there, but DRC just stuck in there. It was a very different game from the Nigerian game. The Nigerian game was a very open game in which, to a large extent, Nigeria played. Gabon also had their moments in that game, but in the Cameroonian game, it was really, really cagey. And when they attacked, they both went after it, but eventually, kudos to DRC for pulling through.
Absolutely, phenomenal. I guess we'll actually discuss, I think, DRC's team a bit more. But let's go back to Nigeria and just the drama and strife going into it. There's always some kind of drama whenever Nigerian plays, whether it's the Super Eagles or the Super Falcons. I don't need to remind you of FIFA having to pay our women on behalf of our own FA because, as usual, they're broke or cheap, whatever the excuse might be. And that factored in here because, apparently reports 2 days before this Gabon game. The players, they were refusing to train, effectively striking, and
Yeah, look, it was just not the best look, you know. The game is on Thursday. The players are supposed to start arriving on Sunday, Monday, then Tuesday when the entire team is complete. They don't train. I mean, like, it's like Nollywood, it's like a skit from
exactly.
Nollywood. So
No, seriously.
for some weird reason, I was speechless. Like when you have something as a recurring decimal, you know that when Nigeria is playing, there's chances that the team will go on. And this one was very difficult to explain because I don't know. You have 4 days or 3 days to prepare for a game, and you miss out on a day's training. It was just really, really sad. And I hope that this is the last time because, to be honest, none of the excuses, none of the explanations make any sense. They just have to make sure this is sorted out. It's been going on, I can tell you, long before you were born, I can tell you we've had issues with players and the Nigerian Football Federation. But honestly, they need to get their act together. We have,
Absolutely.
if I go back in time, this is probably one of the moments in Nigerian history when we have incredible talent. I believe that the players we have in camp now, including Victor Osimhen, I believe that if we actually went out to look for every player who's eligible for Nigeria, we'll have 2 more teams. So the pool that we have of talent, is probably at the most optimum we've ever had in our history, even more than we had in our glory days in the 90s. But if we just need to sort out this one thing that keep reoccurring, allowances and all of those kind of things. And the weird part of it is that if we qualify for the World Cup, we're going to get paid a lot of money by FIFA, and then sponsors will jump on board, government will bring out money. So why don't you just go back to the government and say, give us this money so that we don't have to have these conversations about
Exactly.
bonuses and the rest of them. Yeah, but anyway, the strange part of it is that they played, they showed up.
They did.
They showed up and they played. Yeah, it's magic, pure magic.
They did.
I think they should strike
Absolutely.
more before their games. They should go on more strikes before their
Yeah,
games. They play like
maybe that's the secret.
when they strike,
Maybe don't train at all during the World
don't
Cup.
train at
They'll
all,
make it to the
yeah. Just
final.
strike.
They'll beat
Spend all their
Morocco's
energy
record.
striking. Yeah, they should spend their energy striking.
Strike the whole time. Show up on the day. They'll destroy whoever. Okay,
Yeah.
you actually mentioned Victor Osimhen, the man from Galatasaray, and the big players from the '90s. He had an unbelievable performance. He had 2 goals in extra time, and he could have had a hat trick if he scored that last kick in regulation. Now he's on 31 goals in 44 games for Nigeria. That's 6 away from Rashidi Yakini. So, are we watching history right now in real time?
Look, this is historic. It took Rashidi Yakini all of 14, 15 years to get, no, maybe 14 years, to get to 37 goals. Victor Osimhen, 10 years ago, he was top scorer on the 17 World Cup in Chile. So he didn't go to the World Cup in 2018. So you're looking at Osimhen's been in this team for like 6 years thereabout. And he's already on 31 goals. And he's not, he's playing in a team that is yet to hit the right peak. You talked about the goal that he missed in with the last kick of that game. Everyone was convinced he was going to score. I'm sure he was convinced he was going to score. And I think even in the first half, he had a couple of chances as well. But the way he finished in the extra time, especially the last goal, I have to say, I have watched a lot of Nigerian strikers, some before Yakini and then since Yakini, and I must say that he's looking like the guy who's going to be the. He's going to break this record, and it'll be difficult for anyone to catch up with him in a long while.
Indeed. But the big thing about football, it's a team sport. So one player excels, and a team excels around him. Beyond Osimhen, we had Wilfred Ndidi. He was brilliant in the captain's badge, and thankfully, his previous yellow cards aren't going to be carrying over into this final, so he can still lead his team. We had the new boys I mentioned. We had Akor Adams. He scored the He scored the opener. And Benjamin Fredericks, he was fantastic in defense. The run that he had up to set up Osimhen, and also he kept Gabon's Aubameyang. He kept him at bay for like
shocked.
most of that,
It
most
was
of
a,
that game.
it,
We'll discuss him a
yeah,
bit more. But like, what did you make of
it
all
was
their?
a,
Oh,
look,
sorry, you
the good
carry
thing
on.
about it, you talked about Wilfred Ndidi. I mean, Ndidi, I think he's probably showing his level of experience and quality. One thing, he's always been played in the defensive role, but one thing people keep missing is that in the last couple of seasons, especially when he was at Leicester before he moved to Turkey, the coach was playing him as an attacking midfielder and he was scoring goals. So in this game, he created a lot of chances. He set up the second goal for Ejuke, but he had set up a couple more for Osimhen, and he had, his leadership, his drive, and I'm happy that we have him. I wish the coach will play Onyeka in the defensive role and let Ndidi support the attack. Then there will be a lot more stability because I think the coach is taking too much risk with having more forwards than midfielders. So if he can bring Onyeka in, then it allows Iwobi and Ndidi to support the attack. But yes, the one player I think who has just been a huge revelation, two of them actually, Akko Adams, he's pressing for that first goal. Gabon held on for so long, and then they made a mistake at the pass, and he pounced, and he finished it. So everyone's looking at Osimhen. Even at that moment, they were looking at maybe where's Osimhen? He's going to pass to Osimhen, but he's not passing to Osimhen. He took it very well, and then I'll save my best for Benjamin Fredericks. He's a revelation for me. This is a guy who's a Brentford player. Brentford doesn't think he's ready. But I suspect Brentford right now, because I see Brentford's social media, they're all raving about him. Brentford is going to call him back maybe in December because he's showing that he's ready. He wasn't even considered. The only reason he's in the team right now is that we played a tournament I think it was some tournament, Foreign Nations tournament in the summer, and some of the players were not available, and then someone remembered, okay, there's one Nigerian player at Brentford, call him. He's kept keeping out the captain, Cruz Ekong is on the bench because of Fredericks, and he's playing. He marked Aubameyang so well, and that run that he made for the goal, he could have gone all the way to score because the confidence that kid has is just amazing, and he's just 20 years old. I think he's going to be the future captain of this team because his leadership, his confidence, skills, and I'm feeling like excited to watch this team in the finals because of him.
Yeah, if I can get religious for a second, that right there is an example of God giving you a chance. Like,
absolutely,
and this is it.
Absolutely,
This is your big moment. Like you said, he was not
the
supposed to
hour.
be here, but he is, and
He is there.
he made them absolutely. He validated the decision to bring him on. So,
Absolutely.
Brentford better be
And
calling that man
and
back. Again.
his partnership. He has good understanding with Bassi. So that the team is taking shape. I like it. A lot of new players coming through, and that's amazing.
Yeah. And let's talk a bit more about Gabon. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He was the guy. All right, he was their guy. Aside from, I know, like Fredericks, he was on him, like white on rice. But genuinely, outside of that, what happened? What went wrong? What do you think went wrong with him? Because he was pretty silent
Well,
overall.
I think overall, like I said earlier, Gabon looked like they were the team that went on strike.
Yeah.
And Aubameyang, they looked like they were the guys on strike and not Nigeria because the Super Eagles were all over them like rash. They beat them to every ball. They were hurrying them. Physically they were superior. It was like a mismatch. To me, I think it was like a surprise that game was goalless for so long, because Aubameyang didn't have a chance to strike anything. They kept him really much. In fact, the goal they got was Lemina. And to an extent, I could see Aubameyang like he was very relieved that someone else got on the score. But overall, it was just a shock at how much they kept him out. and they couldn't keep Osimhen out on the contrary,
They could not. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of, again, mismatches, we swing back to Cameroon and DRC. They have, Vincent Abubakar, they have Brian Mbeumo, who are both in red hot form. Were they also, do you think they were off? Or do you think they're, what were the factors at play? They allowed the DR Congo to just get past them?
I don't know what the problem is with Cameroon, because if it's talent they have a lot of really good players, very experienced.
Absolutely.
I mean, these are players who were at the last World Cup. Some of them were just coming in Basogol in Cote d'Ivoire, coming through Abubakar when the Cameroon won the 2017 AFCON. They were young. So go from 2017 to now, that's 8 years when these guys are supposed to be their peak. And we over time in history, the Cameroonian players, they do better when the team grows together, and then they are older, they're more matured, and they're physical specimens, and fantastic players. They got a lot of players playing in top quality leagues. But I think the problem with Cameroon is something that's purely administrative, and all of the struggles and things happening behind the scene just seems to get the better of this team and how they organize them. And for some reason, Mbeumo was not as sharp as we've seen him in the last couple of weeks for Man United. Abubakar, to an extent, he was trying to do too much by himself. Because there were times when I'll see him on the right, on the left. He was just trying to push everyone, but there was just not that cohesion. And that game, they were just chasing the game the entire time, and then eventually they got undone by that late goal, and you could see there and then just how they know that this is a missed opportunity, because this is like a whole generation that will miss this World Cup, and then by 2030 a lot of them will be too old. So really sad, because I know that Cameroon is probably one of the most formidable teams in Africa, and we're getting 10 teams most likely if Nigeria or whoever goes through. We're getting 10 teams and Cameroon is not there. It's a shocker. Or an outrage, if I put it that way.
I think the big thing that you said there, and I think it's the story of the African continent as a whole is, or at least below the Sahara Desert, is the talent is always there, right? But the people in the decision making, the administrative wing of it is always a disruptive factor. So and like you said, it is very sad. Like I said, Nigeria is going to the World Cup. Cameroon's got to be there. But this was it. This was a last chance for everybody involved. So, but their loss is DRC's gain. Their team, they've got a lot of international experience on their side as well. They've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka. They have Axel Twanzebe, Yohan Wissa. What in that game from these men and from just the team overall really stood out to you?
I think for me, it's the kind of players that they brought into this team. It just made them so strong, and they have a good coach, Jasabri, and he's pulling a lot of. I mean, the one takeaway for me is how the DRC have gone almost like how Morocco and Algeria have gone through their diaspora communities. They are pulling a lot of talented players who have experience, players who've played international football for some European countries. They also have a lot of players who sometimes they go through their parents and they try and preach to them about this whole idea of the Congo and how they can lift the country by just doing well. And so that has meant that if you look at the depth of their squad, they've got a lot of players. And it shows that where they are right now, they deserve to be where they are. And nobody, not even Nigeria, can afford to write them off or even underestimate them, because they still have Cedric Bakambu, who's at Real Betis. He's a lot older now, mid-30s. Maybe not a spring chicken, or not as fast as he used to be, but he's still there with experience. So it will be a game to watch out. I mean, a guy like Aaron Wan-Bissaka is one of the best right backs and should be playing for England. But to DRC's credit, they managed to get him to come on board. So Wissa has yet to kick a ball for Newcastle like we know he could do when he was at Brentford. So, but their team, if they do make it through, they'll have even far more players. Because just imagine that players like Romelu Lukaku of Belgium could be playing for DRC, but chose to play for Belgium. Used to be their colonial masters in the old days. So a lot of them went that route. So they have tremendous talent. They're very good, organized, well-organized unit. It will be a very, very epic final. It will be a very, very tight game, as always. Even most of the games between Nigeria and DRC, if I go back in time, were really close games. Very interesting. So I'm looking forward to it so much.
Very much so. And like you said, Nigeria cannot afford to overlook them, to underestimate them at all. Now,
yeah, absolutely.
My final question, I need you to walk with me here. I know how you feel about betting. I know you feel about gambling. But if you were a betting man, who wins this final? Nigeria or DRC? And why?
It's usually that struggle between my heart and my head. But I must say that on this one, both of them are aligned. I feel like the Nigerian team is peaking at the right time. And they've gone through these 2 games now where they've scored 4 goals. They're going to go into this game with a lot more confidence. In fact, to be honest, I was shocked at how much they were onto Gabon. And whilst I would say that the DRC team might be a shade tougher than Gabon, and also physically they've got some big boys. I mean, Wan-Bissaka is such a massive force when he's tracking and attacking and hitting at people. They have Masuaku. These guys are going to fight, but unless someone's going to tie Victor Osimhen with ropes all around his body and dump him into the river in Morocco, even if he doesn't score, just his presence will mean someone else will score, because even the goal scored by Ejuke, Osimhen was free, could have gotten that goal. So
exactly, he's a never-present
It's
danger.
difficult when you have a player of that quality. He practically drags everyone along. So like you said, I don't like to bet, but I will go with Nigeria winning that game, and it won't be a low scoring game. There will be goals in that game.
Yeah. So unlike you, I'm not objective. Nigeria needs to win that game. So they have to win the game. No, the RC is great.
Yeah,
You uplift your I get it. You want to uplift your nation by doing well. You've done well, but you can't win this one. Sorry. Okay, you can do well next time. It's fine. You can uplift your nation in another 4 years. It's fine. Thank you so much. I'm afraid that's all we have time for today. Join us on Monday as we review the final with Mr. Emeka and another special guest. I'd like to remind you all, the winner of this tie advances to the 2026 FIFA Interconfederation Playoffs in March, hosted in Mexico. They'll face teams from CONMEBOL, CONCACAF, AFC, and OFC, with only 2 World Cup tickets up for grabs. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Mr. Emeka, for joining us. See you on Monday.
Thank you. Love it.